Chief Harms here, along with Deputy Chief Mitchell and our PIO, Parker Wilborn. We're going to give you an update on some things that have been going on across the district. I'll apologize right now. We have just a number of items that are on there, so we may run a little bit long today. First off, one of the things that we all hear a lot about in the fire service is that fires are down and we run EMS calls. And personally, I don't believe that. And if you just look at the activity that has happened in January, it has been absolutely incredible. Philly had 12 victims of a fire that included a number of kids. That was on the first week or so of the month. New York City had the high-rise fire with 17 fatalities in there. Recently, Baltimore lost 3 firefighters on the fire ground. One of our brothers from LA County was lost in a house fire this month, and then just this week, Monday, the tragic accident in fatality in Stockton of a captain being shot while operating on the fire ground. So if you look at just what's happening across the United States and the activity that is going on, it is just absolutely incredible.
Our own statistics, so we get that report daily, and then also our own statistics this last month continues to show that rise in call volume as well that we've seen. It's not slowing down. It's getting busier and busier out there every month. We see it all the time. We talk about it a lot. So it's definitely been up. I know there's some recent events here locally we'll talk about too.
Yeah, just if you just look at the events that we've had here, and to highlight this, just you all as far as the activity and what you have been able to do on the fire ground. Yesterday we had a 2-alarm fire over on Slippery Creek. It was an apartment fire in a garage extending. Being able to listen to that, the initial arrival, the transfer of command, really being able to divide up the fire ground, and then truly having a strong plan on where to deploy at.
Yep. I think early on in that incident, it was obviously had a lot of potential. It was windy. With that garage being involved, attached to the residential living areas, early on, it was identified the life is the priority, and getting ahead of that, getting into both sides, both units, make sure the extension wasn't there. And overall, it did go to a second alarm. But the quick knockdown was the testament to the crew's ability and really that higher level incident command establishing those priorities and getting in front of that incident. Very good to hear that.
Outstanding job. We had a large residential over in Fair Oaks with a garage fully involved. Again, multiple lines deployed on the fire ground. Snowberry Way, we had an exterior fire that extended to the interior. And again, the decision making of the first company in and the placement of that first line. And there's probably 2 or 3 options that you have, but the ability to think not just your own line, but where's the second line, where's the third line, how do we support on each one of these incidents, how do we support the search that is going on? Even with a large amount of fire, we know that there's spaces, and especially if there's a door that is closed, that is survivable inside there. So the ability to deploy that second line and know, hey, that engine's right behind me coming in, or there is going to be a delay. But I think really if you think about the Snowberry Way, there's just a bunch of great lessons to take away from that event.
Yeah, and I think, Chief, another one on that is line size, not just line placement. We heard recently with the detached garage and well involved and the exposure to the house, pulling a 2.5 versus 1 3/4 inch. We saw that happen. It doesn't happen every day, but those kinds of decision processes that are out there, the way that our members are adapting to the incident and what the incident needs to prioritize the search, put the fire out, and limit extension has just been really key in our success recently on some of these.
And you bring up San Juan, and unfortunately one of our members ended up with some burns to his leg, an arm burn and an ear burn in there. I truly believe they pulled a 2.5 for the size of the line. Looking at the video of the amount of fire that was there, it's unfortunate. I hope that nobody ever gets burned, but unfortunately that is a risk. And he had full PPE and everything, but the amount of fire and the growth of that fire, but being able to stop the extension to the house next door is just key.
Yeah. Yep.
And then just the last one is that probably one of the most iconic drive-ins of the area, a fire that was inside that structure. I know that companies arrived and struggled trying to find the seat of the fire. But we're able to really get all the way around the building, find the fire, put it out. I know that the owner had said we're going to open right back up again and everything, but because of the actions, they were able to open back up, I think, by Friday.
Yep, and they did. They got the food trucks out there to support their kitchen that isn't functioning anymore, but I'm glad to see that happen. Obviously, many tens of thousands of dollars in equipment saved, but on that one in particular, you hear the radio traffic and you talk to the folks that were there, the change in mindset between the commercial and residential, which we've talked about for a number of years, and addressing that risk and the mitigation and what our tolerance is. And so hearing that traffic going on out there, hearing those discussions, again, another reinforcement of operational decision making that's really going well.
Exactly. And again, our hearts go out to our brothers that have been lost in this past month. There is a risk that goes on in our job. And we try to eliminate that as much as we can, but there is a risk that goes along with this job. Yeah. So our hearts go out to them. And I know that we're going to support Stockton. We sent some companies down there.
I think a few days ago, we had our partners down there in Stockton reach out and ask us for some assistance. I'm proud of our membership. We very, very quickly responded. Regionally, but really a testament to our own folks. We were able to get a battalion chief and 4 engines on the road to head down to Stockton and really get their station coverage as soon as possible so that they can work through that challenging process of losing a member. We continue to do that through this morning. We've also, as of last night, with the other incident commanders in our region on our Type 3 incident management team, deployed that down there to assist them through this next period of time until the celebration of life occurs for Captain Fortuna. Hopefully next week sometime. We'll start figuring out some of those details here shortly, but anything we can do to support those folks down there during this time is really what we're about, what the fire service is about, doing the right thing in the right time. But we've had being able to flex that quickly. I'm very, very proud of our membership to be able to do that. It really a no notice type of a thing for multiple days. So thank you for that.
And Parker, I know that in your position you've been able to really highlight on 2 sides. One is being able to get video and highlight the activity, your connection with the news media when we look at really the whole district, the fire activity. And then the other side of that is just the ability to take those incidents and capture them and use those for training and for the feedback.
Right, and so what I try and do when I go on these incidents, I try and find people that are standing by with their phones and gain that footage. It not only brings awareness to the community, but it also brings awareness to the folks that are watching it, the firefighters that might be able to glean something from it, put themselves in those shoes and make those rivals in their own heads, and hopefully make better decisions when they're on those incidents. So it's very valuable. If our members have camera footage, send it to me. We can always use it, and we'll continue to have that robust social media platform that we are at this time.
Good job on there. To switch gears real quick and talk about an issue that we have been really dealing with over years here is about wall times. And as you all know, wall times isn't because of COVID. Wall times have been going on in this region for the last 10 years. Typically in the past we would see ups and downs along the way, but with COVID and really these last months, have just taken a toll on you all as members, and then really our service that we deliver out there. To back up a little bit, in August, we were still meeting with hospitals and trying to move forward, and I felt that that meetings were not being productive, and actually were going the opposite way. We wrote a letter to the CEOs. And then over probably about every 2 weeks since August, we have been meeting with them trying to figure out wall times. And let's just be honest, it just wasn't getting any better. About 4 weeks ago on a Friday, we were out of ambulances. At that point, we had a meeting with the CEOs, and it just wasn't making progress forward, and we changed our strategy to a more offensive strategy. On that day, we had sent out battalion chiefs, we had gathered cots, we had talked to the LIMSA, and really took the matters and brought it to the forefront for what are we going to do to be able to solve this problem. Captain Parker had taken a opportunity with the media and being able to tell our story out there, also being able to tell the story on social media of what is really happening out there. And at the end of the day, it is just not the best customer service or impact on the people that we provide service to every single day is to sit on a gurney for 11 hours. And then for all of you, all it does is beat us up while we were there and while we're sitting there. Those actions have definitely gone farther maybe than expected, but we have gotten the attention of the CEOs. And then due to Parker's ability to get the story out nationally, it's got national attention across the region, and then on the political side, it has really taken off. A few of the things that have happened, was able to work with our own LIMSA for combining patients. As you all know, pressure on the hospitals to bring in what we're calling wall medics or paramedics that are on the wall. There are a number of other things that has put pressure on them to move patients and be able to get them to be able to move forward. I would say, just initially looking at statistics, two things have happened. One is that overall COVID has slowed down, so I think that has been a positive. But looking at the statistics, we are able to offload our patients. And I don't want to say that the hospitals are managing it any better, but we're able to offload, or we're able to combine our patients and be able to get rigs back in service. The biggest thing that I see, and I look at the CAD and the ambulance on there way too much, but it used to be about 11 o'clock we would start to see the impact, and it would run to about 11 or 12 at night, with a huge peak in the middle of it of activating the ISRMs, trying to get additional ambulance into service across from the privates. What I have seen now with at least the wall medics combining patients and then the pressure on the CEOs is 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon it starts to back up, and then it usually by 7 or 8 at night it starts to bounce back off again. The other thing for me was one of the hospitals, which is Sutter, had said, no, we're not going to do that. And so what we saw in the very beginning of it was an initial impact on the other hospitals. Sutter would not allow us to use the cots. They would not find patients. They had not put in for the wall medics. And we saw the other hospital wall times going down and Sutter just maintaining the same. They have made a decision to now do the cots and the wall medics and everything else, and we're seeing an impact over there. My feeling is that we've maybe weathered this storm right now, but what is the long term play as we move forward? The wall medics will be here until March 31st. And we will work with the hospitals on being able to do that. I feel that our meetings with the hospitals are much more productive and much more open to suggestions, along with our LIMSA. A number of things on the state level is that there is an APOT committee that I'm now a part of, and that isn't really looking at what is happening today, but what can we do in the future. The CPF is behind, the Cal Chiefs are behind, and then politically, the capital that we have, we've been using it, is that there has been hearings, a number of conversations and calls that I have had is with political folks that want this to be changed and want to change it for the future. And they understand this isn't just because of COVID. This has been going on for a while. It's not best for the service that we deliver, and it's not best for you all as medics to be standing there on the wall for extended period of times.
I think the change in the conversation we've seen that's critically important is it's changed from what do we do right now, and then you just said now we're really starting to get that next phase of when March 31st comes, what do we do for the future? And that's the narrative has changed to that, which is very encouraging. We've done some things with the LEMSA that we weren't able to get through before with Assess and Refer and some of those other things as well. So the multi-phased approach of what we're going to do to alleviate this problem on our end, we're still committed to that. Obviously, there's a lot of issues within the hospital system itself that they're going to need to do longer term to really fix this moving forward. So very encouraging news. Again, your patience is appreciated. Please continue to reach out if you're running into wall times. We've integrated the command officers early on making contact with those charge nurses, as well as reaching out to the hospital administrators to get engaged when we see those incidences occurring early to alleviate them as best we can. So
I think you said something that, Adam, that is just perfect, is that we will do everything we can to try to fix it on our end. But there's just, this is a hospital issue. And if we have a patient that has to go to the hospital, we take them to the hospital.
Yeah.
And we will do those things, and I'm willing to work on some of those things. But at the end of the day, the hospitals have to figure out how you manage it, how you staff, how you move people through your hospital for success. And again, it's not just because of today. This has been going on for a while.
See it every year at flu season.
Parker, one of the things that I know that we talked about was for the membership, and if someone approaches them, what they should conversation with them.
There's a lot of emotion and passion that goes into this topic. This is something that I personally dealt with, and all of you have dealt with for, like we talked about, over the last decade. So knowing that, I mean, you guys see it day in and day out. You show up, and your firefighters on the ambulance, they might be there for the morning breakfast or their checkouts, but they're gone. You don't see them till after dinner, and we get that, and we're trying everything we can to fight for that. Just please, when you're in the grocery store, you might get approached by folks. Do your best to stay professional. We are professionals, but we want that message of service delivery. Ultimately, we want to provide the highest level of service, and what that looks like is getting our ambulances off that wall and getting them out. So when our folks out in the field, the community is having a stroke or they're having a cardiac emergency, we have an ambulance available for them, and that's the messaging that we need to provide to them. Reassure them that we are still going to be providing a high level of service to them, regardless of what they're seeing on TV. But just know for your own self, I'm glad Chief Harms has recognized this is an issue that he wants to fight for, and we are fighting 100% for. So thank you to Chief Harms for being on the forefront of that battle.
Parker, I think that our ability to get out there and tell the story and what the membership is, what you've asked them in the conversations, whether it was locally or nationally, has just been tremendous. So please keep up that side of it. Keep supporting the PIO and really telling our story and delivering our message that is out there. The last thing that we have to talk about no matter what would be telestaff and COVID.
What's a video without talking COVID at least?
Mm-hmm.
Good news on the COVID front. Everybody's, I'm sure, hearing about it, but internally here, I just checked before starting. We're down to 30 overall members within the district being off. 20 of those are from the line, and so that's a far reach from where we were at the peak of this recent surge. Almost to 120 folks off. So the good news is the trend is going in a good direction, and so we're evaluating what that looks like moving forward. I know the last information we put out there is we're going to limit training activities, in-person type fit testing, those types of things. We're going to have a discussion tomorrow at the ops meeting about what next week looks like moving forward and re-engaging in some of those really critical fireground survival trainings and some of that stuff that we want to get done. That's a good thing for us to do. It contributes to our members' growth. So look for more information coming out on that very, very soon. And then another fantastic piece of good news this morning, and working with our telestaff recovery team, starting back, obviously we're aware on December 12th of it going down due to the diligent efforts of Laura Kelly and a few folks out at 114, all of the staffers out at 114, members in the field helping with the Google Docs, getting all that information across. Initially the plan was to go live on the 6th. Today is the 2nd. We flipped the switch, and we are absolutely back live 100% using telestaff effective this morning at 0800 hours. So nice job by everybody. That is obviously a huge component of how we keep our accountability and do a lot of tracking across many divisions. And it's a testament to the hard work of those folks that were in there working, getting that back. And because of that, we're successful in turning it on this morning. So nice work, and looking forward to what the future looks like for COVID even decreasing less. Knock on wood.
Yeah. So just three things to close out with is one is thank you to the members of 114 and Battalion 5. Yeah. I mean, just incredible work on being able to staff and make phone calls and switch to a Google document in the middle of the biggest pandemic that you can ever have for us here. Yeah. Strong work. Thank you for everything that you've done on that side, and for all the membership for being able to be in a position to come to work and be able to be here when you have 120 people off with COVID. Just unbelievable on that side. The second thing is to the professional staff. We've been in the building, out of the building, back into the building, but the ability to continue the productivity managing mid-year budget if you're over in finance, the continuation of hiring people over in HR, CRD continuing to be out in the forefront for really the fire prevention side of it. I had the opportunity one of my mornings where my battery didn't start, and Fleet was, as always, right there to be able to help support after I jumped my truck on that. And then just facilities and being able to keep the place going and keeping everything in place.
The work's getting done.
The work is getting
IT,
done.
just bet with Matt Roseberry, they're still doing so. Yeah.
Anybody, if I missed
great.
you, I'm sorry, but it's shoot. Even with the challenges, the work is still getting done, and being able to do that with just a ton of folks off.
Yep.
The last thing is that I know that Parker reached out to some folks. I reached out to some folks. You all sharing your stories with me, really not on the operation side, but what's happening, whether it be on a wall or your patient, and taking the time literally over the weekend to be able to call me and be able to go through those things. I think out of the stories, I probably used 90% of them. And it's key for us to maybe sometimes get away from, hey, the administrative side of dealing with this, and truly saying this is the human impact of what is happening out there. And I know some of you called, you will say, hey, we just do it and this is what we do. And I've pried and said, no, tell me what happened and why did it happen, and the toll that it has taken on you and everybody. And I truly appreciate that side of it. The amount of people that have reached out in text or that have seen me that are appreciative, and I just, again, our ability to support our system and move it forward, I think is just key. So we'll wrap it up there. Thank you all.
One more critical aspect.
Okay.
Firefighter Burn Institute, Fill the Boot. Starts tomorrow. So don't forget, we mentioned the incident we had with a firefighter recently getting burned and the phenomenal relationship we have with him to be able to get that member treated and released and really the right care. Obviously, we've experienced that, unfortunately, in the past. We need to support them because of what's been going on through the pandemic and their ability to do fundraisers. So let's get out there and really show the Burn Institute our appreciation. Again, it starts tomorrow, goes through the weekend. We got the Chiefs Challenge again on Saturday to keep the trophy home here at Metro Fire. I'm looking forward to seeing folks out there and shaking the boot to help raise money for that great foundation. So,
no, thank you for reminding me of that. And it has been, they've continued to support kids, burn injuries, our folks, anybody that goes there. Joe Pick does just a phenomenal job, Local 522, managing that. But it has been just difficult on them for fundraising. This is a huge event, and let's just be honest, Metro supplies a lot of the folks, a lot of the crews. So if over the weekend, starts tomorrow on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if staffing allows, please, when you're on duty, be able to go over there. This is probably over $160,000, $180,000 a year for them to run during the year. So please, if you can, as a crew, get out there. If you can stop by for a couple minutes on your day off, it is very appreciated. Thank you.
Take
Have
care,
a great
everybody.
set.